Hello traders out there in Traderland, D7 here with Grok Trade. Been trading in the live markets going about 30 years. I do own a hedge fund and a stock trading education company, but let's talk about what I'm seeing in the markets using technical analysis. Let's get after it. Anyways, glad for you guys to be here. First thing I want to say is, wow, anytime we start to have those tariff wars start to simmer down a bit, along with the Feds holding the rates even, man, markets do nothing but go boom, straight up. That is great to see. But check this out. I'm going to stay with the weekly chart. Looking here at the Russell 2000 weekly chart, so every bar is 1 week. I want you to take a look at this. We have a big symmetrical triangle. Do you see the symmetrical triangle? We've been talking about this symmetrical triangle, and that's important because we have a setup called a bullish death hook, okay? It's a death hook that's bullish. Look it up online, Google it, death hook, and it's going to bring you to Grok Trade. We coined this, and it's a very powerful formation, and we see it played out yet again. So the play is this. You have a symmetrical triangle like this. It breaks down. That's a good place to be looking to go short. But every once in a while, what will happen is that breakdown is short-lived. We do not keep dropping down like it normally happens, because remember, a symmetrical triangle is like a coil that's getting sprung and tweaked and tightened, and when it gets to the apex of this area right here, it builds huge power. And look for a big breakout to the upside or a breakdown to the downside. Look for big movement. Usually happens. Sure enough, we got our movement to the downside, but it said nope, fake out. It leaves the symmetrical triangle and then immediately comes back into it. This candlestick closed within the confines of the apex. This one right here, that was the entry candle. And then boom, to the upside. Now what happened this week was very interesting. Now we're pretty extended here. We have multiple weeks going up. But this one, we gapped up over this area. I mean, check this out. We zoom in here a little bit. We gapped up over it. And what happened here is we built what's called a hanging man. Now, I'm getting technically deep here, okay? I just sprung on you what a bullish death hook is. It comes down here and they can explode to the upside. With that understanding, we could see sizable run, multiple weeks going into a run here. We could see that. However, the part that concerns me is we have a hanging man at the top of a run here. Do you guys see that? So if I'm going to pull a Fibonacci retracement, I'm going to go from this leg down to this leg. I'm going to that point right there. The only benefit it really has going for it, it's above the 61.8. It closed above it. If it was below it, I would be very concerned that this thing's going to head straight back down. But let me tell you what I'm really got to be careful here, okay? If this is a hanging man, and next week we actually get a gap down and it gets bearish next week, not only will this be a hanging man at the top of a bear pullback, okay? So we have a big leg down, a bear pullback. Not only do we have a hanging man at the top of a bear pullback, if it gaps down and starts to head down, and you have a gap here, and then next week we have another gap, that's a double open window. And if you have a double open window, the gap down, that's called an abandoned baby reversal pattern. A banded baby reversal pattern. If we get that, you will have the likes of a double bearish death hook. In other words, we have a death hook here, it's bullish. We come up here and we come back down. We leave the channel, we come back. That would be a double, and in this case bearish death hook, and you could see a sizable drop to the downside. Very rare situation that we see here. A lot of technical analysis taking place in the confines of the coiling moving averages. Fascinating to see. Russell 2000, whatever it does, the rest of the markets will follow, because people, if they get If there's risk, they sell the Russell 2000 because they're small caps. If they're feeling confident, they're buying it, small caps first, because they're going to get a lot of bang for their buck there. Now the financials weekly chart, I'm going to go here and take a look at this. Had a nice run, but we're now at resistance. Remember how I said we had upside opportunity until we hit this resistance? Well, we're there now. The question is, what's going to happen now that we're at this resistance? It has a ton of overhead resistance from this point forward for the financials. Markets are only as strong as the financials there to support it. So that is of concern. I think we have a better chance of dropping than blasting through there. So this is so interesting to see. If you go here to tech stocks, it's just been on fuego. What's interesting on tech stocks, we hit resistance. I'm very concerned with this like tweezer top at this resistance that we could drop. Instead, we went boom to the upside, blasting out, closing at the high for the week. So it just blasted through two major moving average, or one major moving average, a 20-week moving average, and two major trend lines. Now we have another one coming up. Very cool to see. If you go here to spiders, take a look at the S&P 500. We still have more upside opportunity before we hit some resistance there. So that's where we're at. And if you go down here, take a quick look at gold. Gold is building up what's called a bull flag, and it's looking very healthy right now, meaning that a little more pullback here could be a huge buying opportunity on the weekly chart. Silver, if you look at this, silver is building a symmetrical triangle. It's building in. Anytime you get these moving averages coiling together like this is where they're nice and spread apart. Now they're all together. When they're together like this, it's like Bollinger Bands squeezing. If you know anything about those, this can build a lot of power. Watch for this to explode either up and or down. I think if precious metals pull back a little more, you could see a big run on those soon. VIX has really dropped, guys, like so much here. We're way down. Fear is leaving, which is fascinating to see. And Bitcoin got up to 105,000. We're at the time of this video around 103,000. And you guys are excused. You're dismissed. I'm going to talk a little bit here just freely, but you guys can go. I'm glad to have you. Feel free to subscribe. It's great to have you. For you guys that are still here, we're getting a huge amount of students coming through a group called Trade Surge. It's a group called Life Surge. It's a faith-based organization. They have like Tim Tebow and the Duck Dynasty people, and just others that come and do these motivational speeches. Ed Milet, and you have all these great, fascinating things. Okay, speakers. And then they have this group that they partner with that comes in. And what they'll do is sell trading courses. And that's what we used to do back in the day. You guys may or may not know this. I'm a former award-winning stock mentor for Rich Dad, Poor Dad with Robert Kiyosaki. Did that for several years. So with Wealth Intelligence Academy, with Teach Me to Trade, Option Success, Star Trader. I was with some big box education firms. The year that I left the firm to have my own company, start my own company, it was a publicly traded company making $96 million a year, a very big company. And I sat on the curriculum committee. I oversaw the curriculums. I was only one of 5 that did that, and I was only one of 50 mentors. And but how we would sell this, I wouldn't. I was on the fulfillment side. So when people purchased, they would come to a mentor, and only if they bought the bigger packages would you get a mentor. Mentors where it was at. So back in the days I was doing it, it was around, we paid $21,000 for our trading education. That was a package that came with a mentor. And I went through a group called Teach Me to Trade. They're not around anymore. But the reason I bring that up is because the same system that we used to use back then is being used today. And what we do, and this is behind, I'm pulling the curtains back, you're going to get behind the scenes. So what we would do is sell a 3-day course. And when I say we, just the company I was with, again, I was on the fulfillment side. So the company I was with, what they would do is charge a $97 or a $197 3-day course on trading. That 3 days course, internally we call that sweeps. That's where we brought in the money. So it took 3 days to sell these big ticket packages, but we wouldn't sell it initially. We would go through and dazzle people with the money that could be made and how many trading opportunities that could, that are out there, especially using leverage, where like options. And so we would push options very, very strongly, and I become an options instructor, coach, and I would teach the Greeks and the different. There's 36 different strategies for option, techniques that can be used. However, today, don't believe in options. It's not something I would ever want my students trading, because instead of getting 5 things right to have odds of making money in the markets, in options you have all the Greeks to consider too. That now you have 10 things to get right, so you have to have more things right, and you're dealing with theta, which is time decay. So you not only do you have to be right on more items, now you have to do it within a certain time frame. So the odds are against most traders using options. It's not something that we condone or want our students trading, not initially at least. If they want leverage, futures is a far better thing to do, and only do that after you've proven yourself that you can trade responsibly with risk management and in money management principles that we teach. Following those things and having great discipline, then leveraging in responsibly, margin or leverage, magnification of your power for trading can be something that can be very lucrative for a person. With that understanding, what's interesting with LifeSurge, they are doing the same thing. So what they're doing is they're bringing in individuals with it's a great program. Like them, been to it myself. LifeSurge, not TradeSurge. But TradeSurge, they'll have very high-powered salespeople that will, that will get you to pay your $97 or $200 to get to this 3-day class. But when you're in the 3-day class, this is a big deal. Is once you're there, they're going to dazzle you with the money that can be made. They're going to dazzle you with all this stuff, ways you can trade. You're going to be very excited, but you're going to think, I need help. So they're going to tell you what you need to do, and at the end, you're going to be thinking, I need help to do this, and then they're going to come out with the solution, and that's how they sell it. So they'll say, the solution is we can teach you all this very easy, and then they go into a high sales pitch, and it's most of us who are engineer minds, we don't like being sold. We actually loathe being sold. Just give us data and information. So it's a bit cringe going to that part. But they go back and they're charging $37,000 now for the trading education with the mentor. $37,000. So back in the day, $21,000. And then when I was training with these companies, so I went through the program, and then they hired me to teach, and then I'm teaching. And as I was teaching, people were just paying around $25,000, $26,000, $27,000, and that was 20 years ago. Now, nowadays they're paying $37,000, almost $40,000 for the same education. But I always thought no one should have to pay that level of money to go through our program. So what's fascinating, a lot of TradeSurge people, they're not paying the $37,000. They're not saying yes at these groups, and they're finding us, and they're coming to us because they found that we offer far more value for the money, and with free retakes. So it's just fascinating to see how people are finding us right now, and it's great that you guys are coming in. All you TradeSurge people, LifeSurge people, we welcome you. We're faith-based ourselves internally, and we love the fact that you are, considering us here at Grok Trade. We've been doing it 27 years or so. We've been trading 27 years, been in business since 2007. So just to give you some idea of how long we've been doing this. So there's some background information for you. Outside of that, give me a like. Doesn't cost you anything to do that. I didn't run ads on this. Maybe that by itself should earn a like from me. Take care. We'll see you guys later. Bye. Guys, why are you still here? You just watched my video and now you're still lingering around. Might as well be with you now that I have your undivided attention. Listen, if you haven't done so yet, I highly recommend putting in a foundation of trading, your foundation of trading through a mentor. For learning to fly a plane, you wouldn't just go through ground school before you start flying in the friendly skies. What you would be doing, though, is going up first with your flight instructor. Same thing if you're going to learn to ride a bike, you better have somebody behind you helping you ride a bike. Surgery, you're not going to read a few books and do heart surgery. So every principle and with being guided by a mentor, let finances be this. If you're a trader, you rate you from amateurs to professionals. Mentoring will do that for you. Anyway.